Hey, hello guys, and welcome to another video tutorial on jQuery. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the serialize function. So I'm going to use for that pretty much the same code that we did in the last video. So I have the two files that we used in the last video here, which is an ajax.html and ajax.php. Now, basically, ajax.php is going to be the same. Okay, we are going to pass these two values. We would then have an array, an associative array, okay, that we will encode in JSON. And now in here, we're going to do some little changes, okay? And the changes basically are in here. Instead of creating variables, this is why serialize function or the serialize method is so used by many developers, is when you have a lot of inputs or values to grab. Okay, instead we only have these two, but when you have maybe 20 values to grab or 20 inputs with the information that you want to grab them all in only with one line of code instead of doing for each value a different variable. It's pretty simple. You create a variable, let's call it send equals, and now we type the name of the form. So we will have to create a form, and I told you in the last video that I would show you how to create a form and how to create also a submit button in the form, and how to submit those values in the form without reloading the page, okay, or without refreshing the page. Because you know, when you have a submit button, whenever you click it, and I'm going to show you that example, when I click the submit button, the values are passed in the URL, okay, to the PHP file or whatever script you have, but we don't want that to happen, okay? So I'm going to show you the example. So let's type input type submit, ID submit, and value submit, okay? So now we have a form with input username, password, submit. Okay, perfect. And let's save this, and okay, let's open this in Chrome, localhost, and here the file is called ajax.html. Enter, and here it is. So when I click submit, you see that I click and automatically a new URL appears with the parameters username and the password, okay, which are these two inputs. We don't have nothing. They are equal to nothing because we didn't type anything. If I type something here, I submit, there it is, F and A, okay, but I don't want this to appear, okay. Basically, I don't want this to be I don't want this to send any information in the URL. I want to send the information through Ajax in the background, okay, without reloading any of the URL. So what we have to do here is, in here we have to type form, grab the form name or ID, but we don't have an ID, so we just type form, okay, which is form in here. If we have a lot of forms, then we will need to identify each form, okay, and call it with use the ID in here to call it in the selector. But we only have one form, so I'm gonna use only form, and here we type submit, okay, which basically is another event like click, but instead of click we type submit. So whenever the form is submitted, this function will be triggered, okay. So var send, we create And this is one example where you can use this that I already told you in, I don't know what video I told you about it, but this means or refers to whatever you are calling right now, okay, the selector that you are calling. So this means the form, and dot serialize. So I'm going to serialize. So basically this means that serialize this. So serialize is grabbing all the inputs, all the information, and store them, okay, to when for when I want to call it or use them. I will call this variable send, okay. So now we have those two values, serialized or stored, and to use that information we just have to type in here instead of this. Let's take this out, not data, sorry, send, okay. Basically it's simpler than what we learned in the last video, okay, where we have to put all the variables for each input and then the long string here, create the long string to pass the parameters, okay. So this is more simpler, easier, and less code, okay. So that's basically it. Now we have to type here, let's type data type as well. It's going to be JSON because we have a JSON to be returned like this, okay. So now what we can do here is we don't need these parameters. We only need the parameter MSG, the first one, which is the data that is returned from the PHP file. And in here what we can do is expand this a little bit more, but first I want to try if this code is running. Oh, another thing that we have to type in here. So we have this closes this, and these curly braces closes the AJAX function. So in here we have to type return false, okay. Basically this prevents the submit button to submit anything to the URL, okay. So the URL, it will not change, the page will not be submitted or refreshed or reloaded, and we will pass through AJAX function in jQuery the values, okay, and of course retrieve the values from the PHP script, okay. So that's basically it. Okay, let's see if this works. Let's refresh. Oops, let's take this out. Jax.html. If I submit, nothing happens. If I type here, let me type my name, Victor, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Click submit, and there it is. Okay, basically we did pretty much the same thing that we learned in the last video, but this time we used the serialize method, okay, and return false because we are using a form, okay, and a submit button. So let's expand the code a little bit, more presentable. So what we can do here is type name, in here name and br, in here plus, in here type password, and yeah, basically that's it. A plus here and a plus here. Save that, and let's refresh. Let's type Victor, password 1, 2, 3, la la. There it is. Okay, so you pretty much can manipulate now and output whatever you want, okay, directly from your JSON that we encoded in here, okay, from this array. So that's it. Now you can pretty much do less code using the serialize, and that's basically it. Okay, guys, so if you have any questions, just send me a message, and see you guys later. Bye.